Internal combustion, boys, accept no substitutes. It's the science fiction rating system. The podcast that aims to rank every science fiction film from 1 to infinity. This week, we're doing 3 Mars films. With, as ever, Chris Redding.
Hello, chaps.
How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Good week. I liked these ones.
Good. And Alex Humphrey.
Hello. Yeah, it was a good week. Interesting week.
Yeah.
Good old Mars.
Interesting is the word I'd go with.
Yeah.
What I discovered while doing this week was that we missed out the best Mars film.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen? I forgot what it's called now. Meet the Martian, something like that.
No.
Christopher Lloyd and Jeff Daniels.
No. What's that?
Hang on, let me just find the name of it. It's basically
like
a film.
Coneheads?
It's a film where Christopher Lloyd's a Martian who comes to Earth, and they sort of like it's a comedy film. It's terrible.
Is it like Earth Girls Are Easy?
It's more like what was that little guy called who goes off the cliff in a wheelchair? What's he called? That little creature.
Mac and Me.
I can't remember. Yes, might be a bit of that. My favourite Martian. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Which isn't good, but that's Well, I guess we have to watch it at some point. Anyway, I'm getting wildly off topic already. Sorry. So this week we did 3 more serious sort of Mars films. Well, not really serious, but more big Mars films. So we'll start with Mission to Mars, shall we?
Start back in 2000 on that mission to Mars.
Directed by Brian De Palma and written by Jim Thomas, John Thomas, and Graham Yost.
John Thomas.
Well, they did write Predator, so respect you a little bit.
Yeah, they wrote a lot of stuff. They also wrote Wild Wild West, didn't they? So
yeah, okay.
Two brilliant films.
Last week, Chris, you'd seen this, hadn't you? Me and Alex hadn't seen it. I think
had seen it. Yeah. I had to do a recap, obviously, but
and I think we were sort of didn't know what to make of it really. So, Chris, did you like it before? Did you like it again? Or
I remember seeing. It's like I liked it the first time round, but it was kind of that funny period of time where there hadn't been many. It hadn't been the renaissance of good sci-fi. So there was a lot of like.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd been anything like it before, told in the same way. Obviously, it tried to do a lot of Kubrick-y type things, but not in the same way. But I thought it was quite TV in a lot of ways. Yeah, like in how it. Yeah, the music, is it Morricone? The music as well.
Yeah,
bizarre.
Yeah.
Music
was
wasn't it?
It's
weird.
It's good, but really inappropriate,
weird.
Isn't it?
It goes really Disney at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost as though like he hadn't actually watched the film when he wrote it. Very out of place,
Disney stuff.
There's that crazy like haunted house music at some point when there's the really tense bit. It's like he's just gone like, oh, hold on, you need some tense music. Oh yeah, here's from a horror I did 10 years ago.
The one with the organ, it reminds me of Interstellar because it's used in the same sort of scenes.
Yes, yeah,
because
definitely.
that's organ as well.
I think the music was the most interesting thing for me because it was so all over the place and kind of. I mean, the music was quite good in places, just not really the sort of music you'd have for a.
I thought the science was all right, I guess, for the time. It's funny though because I think one of the other films that The Martian does a lot of the same sort of stuff, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Definitely, yeah.
Hell
the same sort of ground, and a lot better. You can.
I'm not convinced by that.
Science goes. I mean, it's a lot better in that sense. It's kind of like they've cut a lot of the most interesting stuff out of the film. Like they never show some really key moments. Like it like skips ahead quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I quite like that though.
Me too. See, I'd say that's where this excels over The Martian. I think The Martian dwells on things that were really fucking boring, and this at least just cuts to the chase of what you give a shit about. That's why I would say that's the difference.
See, I'm different. I like the. There's two sorts of this. I think Chris Nolan says there's two sorts of like these space films, and one is where they show the docking of ships, and it, when there's a docking, it's a real thing, and you show it all going together and slowness. So you get that like in Star Trek, and he did that in Interstellar, and I like that sort of functional shit.
I like that when it's sort of done like artistically, like a good thing to look at, like it is in Interstellar and 2001 and stuff. I didn't like it in The Martian because it's not any sort of that sort of stuff. It's just slow stuff.
Yeah.
But Mission to Mars, I'm kind of between the two of you because I agree with Alex that I like the skipping, but I think it's because it skipped so much of its story. It kind of ran out of story when Tim Robbins died and didn't really know where to go. That's
it felt
true. Like they should have perhaps focused a bit more on the stuff before, because once they all get to Mars, it sort of all falls apart, really. I think, but I
don't think they explain the decisions made by the characters enough, because you don't understand like the technical. It's not, they don't flush out any reasons why. For instance, when they tried to stop at Mars and the engine blows off the ship. And then they have to transfer to that other thing. We don't see that other thing, really. We don't see how from there they get down to the surface. We don't see... I don't understand what the... Like, I watched Gravity last night, and obviously that is a lot more technically flushed out as far as why she makes decisions from from one place to the other. Obviously this is a different sort of movie, but I kind of all like that shit, so
But I think in this film, it's confused in a lot of ways. I think it doesn't know if it wants to be that sort of film, does it? Or it wants to be a more fantastical thing. Alex, what did you think of it, Mission to Mars?
I mean, I really liked Brian De Palma. I think he's great. I read that he kind of came onto this after Gore Verbinski walked off because he was worried about the budget. So, and I think and it had already been cast and it had already been a script, and I think it feels like Brian De Palma just tried his best with what he had, and I think there are loads of things in there that are wrong, but I think there's some things in there that are really interesting. I think I agree with you totally. It's half of it is this kind of quite thought out. They talked to NASA about Mars plans. They actually tried to get it right on the actual the science. Some of it, but then a bit of it is this kind of just complete 2001 rip-off, and that ending where the alien cries and he's all like, Gary Sinise is like, we're them and they're us. It's just really lame and like...
Well, even before that, I mean... It
wouldn't take much to make it really good, though, would it?
No, exactly.
They've got all the
definitely.
The elements there.
I think plot-wise,
100%.
But I think the script's a big problem as well, though. I think the dialogue's very clunky.
You could cut a lot of dialogue. Say, for instance, you cut 50% of the dialogue. All the elements are there. It just needs... It's just the recipe hasn't been done in the right way.
Because it's a solid cast, and Tim Robbins is actually playing quite against type. He's a bit of a kind of salt of the earth, kind of working class man. You don't normally see him play that kind of role, and so that's interesting. And I think that whole the sequence where it goes wrong, the weird Dr. Pepper bit of marketing. The Dr. Pepper saves them, and then they're outside, and then all of that, and then the ultimately Tim Robbins dying, which I was quite shocked by. I didn't think he would die. I think that whole sequence is just really good. If you just watch that bit, you'd think, "Oh my god, this film's amazing." But
I disagree with that.
I love that bit. I think the tension, I think he manages to keep the tension in that really well.
I like the bit when Tim Robbins is falling towards Mars, but before that, with the water, it's so obvious that you just use water to find the leak. They've already explained that as a concept.
Yeah,
and they wait 5 minutes and go, "No, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?"
Yeah.
They're scientists.
Yeah. They should know that. You're right.
That at all.
Yeah. No. But it was. I found
it's
it
not
really
a very good spaceship for that.
No.
Because it's one big void.
Yeah.
But you're not able to lock off sections to it, are you? That's kind of why it'd be poor.
Yes.
But it's really interesting watching this and then thinking about The Martian and Prometheus in terms of this film. it's a bit like Ridley Scott was like, oh, there's some interesting ideas in that Mission to Mars. I could, obviously Martian is an adaptation of a book, but it's just kind of odd when you see things in an older film that's less well known that then kind of went into a much more better known film. It's a bit odd,
Yeah, I think without a doubt Andy Weir must have watched this film because there's a lot, isn't there? Especially with Don Cheadle's character.
But he's watched that and gone, the interesting thing here is not how all the alien shit at the end, it's how Don Cheadle managed to survive until they got there.
That's true. Yeah.
But how it is that interesting though? I mean, we'll come on to that in Martian.
Yeah.
I don't think it is very interesting.
I love that shot of Don Cheadle just appearing behind Gary Sinise when he's got his giant beard and his giant hair. Like, I love that shot. It was so funny.
That's absurd as well because they toy that idea he's gone a bit space mad, don't they? And then they talk him
Mars
down
mad.
in seconds. They're like, "Oh no, you're fine. Like, don't worry about it." He's like, "Oh, yeah, cool. I'll have a shave. Everything's good."
Yeah. Well, that's more than
that could have gone. I thought I was going to get like a sort of The Thing sort of finale there, like a very sort of tense, claustrophobic, all trapped in this thing together and wait for someone else. But
that'd have been good.
It doesn't have like any of the gravitas of, say, like in Interstellar when it was. Who is it at the end we see who's actually a bad guy who pops up right at the end of Interstellar? The
Matt Damon.
Yeah. It doesn't have any of them sort of real movement to characters or.
Yeah, but I didn't like that either.
Gravity.
I don't know. I mean, this film, I didn't like this film really either. But like you two, I'm sort of also a bit sort of, I can see the stuff there. I think there's definitely, you can see the De Palma in it, especially, like, I think the first scene kind of sums up what's good and bad about it, because the first scene at the barbecue, before the takeoff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space films that start with that barbecue.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, it's beautifully shot. Like the long tracking shots of the camera, the way like they frame them all talking. But then over the top of that, you've got the most awful, like the cliched sort of the way the plot's like just dumped on you. By each character is awful. Like, oh well, by the way, I've been on this mission, this sort of this, and they're all just. It's not just one character; they're all doing it, and but at the same time, the camera's doing some lovely stuff on what is actually a really cheap looking, awful set as well.
Yeah,
it's kind
that's
of
true.
Even in that one little scene, it seems to sum up just how confused it was. Really.
Yeah.
The spaceship set was all right. That was big turny thing. That was pretty impressive.
It says almost every location in the movie had to be created from scratch because it didn't exist in the real world. Between visuals, miniatures, and animation, over 400 technicians were directly involved in the production aspects of the special effects. Yeah. So it obviously had all the money. It's like they had all the money and they had all the kind of confidence in it. But then, the director walked and they were just like, ugh, I better finish it, I guess. Like, we've committed now, It's kind of odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's a very strange thing.
Yeah. Like you say, it's a confused film. It doesn't know what it is either. That's its problem,
not,
I guess.
Yeah, but you know what I mean when you say it's not far off. You could make that really good.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
It could be.
Yeah.
Like, even the bit where they walk in, that big white, where they just stood in the big doorway.
Yeah.
Even that looks good. It's just not conveyed. Like, it's 8/10 of the way there as far as just.
But also, everything they do in there is terrible. Like, every interaction once they go for that door is awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the stupid big like dust snake thing that attacks them at the top of their face. He's just
but it spins
like a mummy or something, isn't it?
When it spins that guy and just like he rips him apart. That's a pretty cool effect. Yeah. That was good.
That's good. Yeah.
There's one of the reviewers, the Margaret McGurk from Cincinnati Enquirer, said, unfortunately, the filmmaker's imagination flags in the closing sequence. The movie's final reel looks like a high-tech museum exhibit entitled 2001: A Space Odyssey for Dummies. Which is kind of like, it is a bit like an exhibit, isn't it? It is like they're walking around this kind of like, oh look, there's a solar system. Yeah. And like Prometheus, like that bit in Prometheus with the planets.
The one thing all three films this week share is a good cast, like a good strong cast. And apart from the guy at Sliders, who's awful, but I mean, his character.
I thought he was good in that. I thought it was all right.
Oh, he's so annoying. But I mean, he's meant to be annoying, isn't he? But
yeah.
Well, he plays that. He plays a sort of techno geek, doesn't he?
He has exactly the same scene as the guy in The Martian, where he's like in the ship going, "Come on, come on, I don't want to blast off without you." Like, it's almost exactly the same scene, and it's the same character as well. It's the comedy character that is the one who's in charge of literally waiting for them for that final moment, isn't it? Like,
It's strange. Yeah.
Damn you, Ridley Scott. What have you done?
It's very odd. I think I'd like to watch. Like, I'd really like to read an interview with Brian De Palma about this film. I think I'm more interested in the making of it than I am the film itself, because it is so strange.
There's a 2016 documentary film about the career of the film about Brian De Palma's career. They talk about this.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, well, it came out recently. That's where I got about how Gore Verbinski was the original director. But so they obviously talk about it within that De Palma, that doc that came out last year.
Oh right.
So maybe watch the bit of that, I guess, or. Yeah, but the making of will be interesting, isn't it? That's obviously there's something we don't know about why the film is why it is.
I was wondering, do you think that there was more? You know, how Tim Robbins dies, like basically at the start of the third act, and his role's not that big, is it really? But he's the big name. I wonder whether that role was bigger, maybe. And
don't know.
I wonder why. You know when the guy goes up with the aliens at the end, and it flashes back all the way through the film.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the right character getting into that bit. That should have been Tim Robbins' wife, because it keeps flashing back to like the relationship that only like she would have seen. And like it's really it's like scenes that he was with I just think it would have made more sense as a rounded thing for I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But how big? Back to your point about saying the characters aren't really fleshed out properly, because the guy who does go into it, Guy Sinise, you think at one point you'd think he's going to go like against them, don't you?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really happen, but it doesn't. There's not really compelling reason why he doesn't crack or why he does. You know.
Well, it's like Signs, isn't it? All it is just because his wife seemed to believe in aliens, so he does. It's like.
Yeah.
It all lynches on. She thought there might be something, and now she's dead. I better go with them. It's a bit lame, but. Yeah. I wonder how. I guess it is how famous was Don Cheadle and Gary Sinise at that point. Were they on a level with Tim Robbins? So actually, is it because Tim Robbins is still famous? We see him as more famous. Were they as famous at that point? I can't remember back in 2000.
I don't think any of these were considered top rank cast.
No,
were they?
No, Don Cheadle definitely wasn't.
No,
these were all
not.
second division.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. Yeah.
Well, it's a weird one. Definitely.
It is.
So when it comes to ranking it, it's tough because I don't know. On one level, it's not a good film at all, is it? Really, it's not. I didn't really enjoy it much.
No.
But it's just it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone else can start. Alex, you can start. Where do you think you should go next?
I would put it above the other film that's on this list that I would say is like that. I would put it just above Inner Space.
Right. Okay. I'd probably just below Inner Space. Chris?
I put it at 34 underneath. Films that I actually are probably just as naff, but I actually enjoyed them more, like Armageddon, Prometheus, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not toxic in the way of the things below it, like totally. Your Transformers. But yeah.
It's weird because, like, straight after that film, if you'd asked me to rank it, I think I'd put it dead bottom. But the more I sort of think about it, the higher it's going up the list. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, well, it's like the things which it really seemed to me like it was like Your Battery's Not Included, or one of these 80s sort of, especially with that Disney music at the end. It really seemed like it could have been like if it was made 10 years before, like quite a memorable film, like for kids or for.
So I think that's why. I think it should be higher because I think Chris has hit the nail on the head with this. That it's like it had the potential to be quite good. There's some interesting things in there. It's just some reason it went wrong. So that's why it should be a little bit higher than that stuff at the bottom, because that stuff is just trash.
It could have been the family-friendly version of 2001.
Well, yeah, but that's why it should be lower in a way, because it's not. It's the third family-friendly film. It's the third quite serious.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't hit anything correctly. No, it doesn't actually stick any of the landings. So that's why I've put it down at the bottom.
What about? So you said 34. We said 26. So it's all about 30. Below end is game, above safety not guaranteed.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't think it wasn't as bad as Universal Soldier Return or Armageddon.
No.
But it wasn't very good.
No.
Okay, so 31 for Mission to Mars. A strange film. I think that's all I can say.
It's a strange time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It was definitely
Made you think in a weird way.
Well, the film didn't. It's the process of the film being made makes you think, doesn't it? The film itself is just guff, but it's the consequences of it being made and who made it and things like that that are what's interesting about it, aren't
It'd be a good thing to look at if you're a film studies person.
Yeah.
Like to...
Yeah.
Because there's certain things of the story they've not embellished, and some things they have embellished for reasons that they don't really get to the bottom of. It's just really strange.
I think that's the De Palma coming through, isn't it? I think that's him, putting across through bits of the script and going, don't need this. Yeah. Make it.
Yeah, I think he's jumped on board and just gone, well, I'll do it, but these are the 3 bits I'm interested in. Like that bit in space, I'm going to do the hell out of that, but the rest of it, I'll just kind of dial it in, maybe that's what happened.
Yeah. Actually, the other thing we mentioned is that the good shot of them on the spaceship, or did you mention this? The spinning...
There's a long shot.
Yeah. That's really cleverly done, isn't it?
I'm not quite sure how they did that.
No, normally.
I watched it a few times.
Do you think they're... Because they're all very deliberately walking, aren't they? So you think the set's revolving around them as they're on like a...
Oh yeah, there's a fully built rotating set
coming down at them as they walk across it.
Yes, so the guy who's walking around the perimeter of it is always at the gravitational bottom of that set.
Yeah.
Right? So the camera is on a pivot as well, so he might be walking at his bottom, but he might be at the top, right? That's the bit I can deal with.
How does the guy jump off the bed, though?
Sorry?
The guy jumps off a bed, isn't there?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a guy in a room that's going around that he passes twice, who's sat there reading a magazine. I don't know how they did that bit.
And I'm sure at one point he gets up, doesn't he? That's the bit that I think he jumps off the bed. And that's what I was like, well, hang on.
Because you can see where... Because he was walking round, the guy was walking the perimeter, and then he climbs a ladder to the core, to the middle bit.
Yes.
But you can see, obviously, from when he starts climbing the ladder at the top to when he gets to the top of the ladder, he's going to be off centre by that point because he's not going to be able to be following where gravity is. Yeah. So you can see he goes, I need to get to this ladder as quick as I can because soon I'm going to be pulled off the side of the ladder.
Yes, yeah.
I did read they did use wires, if that helps, but it doesn't mean it solves everything. But they were
It's just there's a guy going around sat reading a paper in a room while that's all happening, which I haven't quite got to the bottom of. But yeah, it's interesting. It's good.
It's a good effect.
It's a good use of a set like that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Although the dancing is really naff.
Yes.
I can take zero G dancing.
Oh.
All that kissing as well. Too much kissing in that film.
Imagine your wife has just died and you're on a mission with a married couple and it's should have been you and your dead wife. Imagine how awful that is. Brilliant. Because psychological torture.
Start dancing.
Yeah, zero G sexing it in the next room. Oh.
I think I'd just shoot one of the windows out.
We're all going.
He looked like he's about to.
Yeah.
Weird. All right, so that's Mission to Mars. Let's have a quick break and return with The Martian. We're back. We've received an email from Major David Rodriguez. No, it said actually just say Rodriguez. Maybe spelled his own name wrong. He says,
"Is that a joke? Is that an alien joke?"
I don't think so. No. He says,
Aliens.
"I'm an American military soldier personnel. Presently, am on peacekeeping mission in Syria. I base in Damascus military camp. I have very good business discourse with you. This is an opportunity to discuss it with you now because as a soldier man, I don't know what is going to happen to my life in this country, Syria. I want to do some investment in your country. If you're interested, or if you can help me to receive it kindly, reply back to me in my email address as following for more details. I will explain about this investment very well. Please reply back here. God bless you. Thanks.
But
what's the email address?
It's davidrodriguez11355@gmail.com.
So
seems like a legitimate.
If all of our listeners can spam him.
Yeah.
So what films does he want us to review?
He left that bit off, so you want to get back in touch.
Reply back to him and say, can we stay on topic, please?
Yes, ask for 3 films.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it right now. Dear Major.
Three sci-fi war
thanks for
films.
getting in touch.
Fine to do that.
Do you have 3 suggestions for the podcast?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Perhaps there's some Syrian science fiction we could review to help him get on with the locals.
I put thanks SFRS team. And let's send that back.
Is there a way we can complain to his commanding officer?
Well, I don't know what army he's in. What army uses Gmail as their emails, but I've sent a reply anyway, so we'll see you from next week.
See what happens.
In the meantime, let's get to.
Shall I put the US Armed Forces on our list of enemies on the list here?
Yeah. Well, we don't know what he thinks about the list yet. We'll wait to hear back from him.
Right.
Okay, so the next film is The Martian, similar to the last film, from 2015, directed by Ridley Scott, from a screenplay by Drew Goddard, based on a book by Andy Weir. A book that... Have you read the book?
No.
I hate the book. Book is absolutely terrible.
Really?
It's written by a 4-year-old.
Can I ask, is the film very similar to the book?
Yes. The book's even more boring.
Right, okay. I just wanted to know. Yeah.
But the one thing that this film does is fixes... The book is the most awful, terribly written book I've read in a long time, and the dialogue is just abysmal. It's like written by someone who can't write, basically. And the one thing this film didn't like the film very much, but it did fix the awful dialogue, and I'll give it that.
Wow.
But yeah, I might as well start this time. I didn't think much about this at all, really. I found it very, very dull. The concept, it's a cool concept, but it's just so boring to me. The idea of someone just farming on Mars, and then when they involve NASA, I don't really, the intrigue of, we don't tell the people and stuff like that. I mean, it's hard to really care about any of it for me. I think it looked really nice. I think it's by far the most competent film Ridley Scott's made in a very long time. Like, I can't complain about the look of it. Although, actually, the music's awful. The music sounds like a computer game. It's like you're playing The Sims or something like that. It's a terrible soundtrack.
Apart from all the disco.
Yeah, that's awful. I mean, that's from the book. Like, the book has lots of stuff where he's like... he's almost just going, OMG, lol, I'm on the Mars. It's like, really... It's terrible. And you see they translate that into when he's going, he swears a lot of things, but oh my god, it's awful. Yeah, not much of a fan. I've got more to say, but let's go around the table again. Chris, you've seen it before, haven't you? You read the book. Do you like the book?
Yeah. I mean, what I'll say about the book thing, and you're coming at it from being quite a literary person.
Yeah.
It's not a great book.
No.
From a book perspective.
As a book, no.
As a novel.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But in his defence, what I will say is he was learning to write a novel whilst writing this novel, and he released it a chapter at a time on Amazon, and then it kind of became popular with a certain crowd, which I might put myself in, of people who can do deep dives into the esoterica of, how things work and how, how he managed to get out of that situation, and so I sort of think of it a little bit that way. So I'm not too critical as far as I knew it wasn't going to be like a great novel, and I knew it wasn't going to be a fantastic. I mean, it's a lot like Apollo 13 on a bigger scale, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's a lot like Castaway, but in space.
Yeah, and actually, in some ways, I would have liked a lot more very technical, more
in the film.
Really tedious crap. I would have they would have actually just decided that's what we're going to do. That's what I'd like.
Well,
it's very nice to look at. Again, Ridley Scott, probably the best one since Gladiator.
Yeah.
And, To
be fair, I'm with you then that like a film, a sort of very arty film, where it's literally a lot of like single camera shots of him doing very intense scientific work. I'd be on board of that. Like imagine like a sort of David Lynch film, where it's just like a light bulb and he's just wandering around a lab.
Yeah,
I could get into that more than I could this. I mean, the book at least does. You're right that it does double down on its science shit a lot more, doesn't it? And I didn't. That was boring to me, but I can understand its purpose. My problem with the book was more, as I said, the writing style. And you're right, I understand. There are other reasons to like it, and also he's kind of like he's like Booyah and things like that. It's like it reads like it probably is like a middle-aged man who is a nerd and sort of just a bit embarrassing. Yeah,
this isn't a cool guy who's writes for Hollywood.
No, I know that, and I'm not going to think it's the guy, but like it just as a book just made me cringe. Anyway, Alex, you hadn't seen the film before. You've not read the book.
No.
Where did you land on The Martian?
I pretty much hated it. I thought it was a pile of crap. And my problem with it was because from when Chris explained about it, and I thought it sounded quite interesting. And when I watched it, I totally agree. I think a film about him stuck on Mars and having to do all this science and having to work out how to survive and the solitude and the isolation, that's an interesting film. And I think a film about someone, people back on Earth going, oh my God, this person's been abandoned. We need to get to them. But what are they thinking? What are they doing? And then you find them and they've gone Mars mad or whatever. That's an interesting film. What I hated was it tried to do both things at the same time, and neither of them were good enough. It just split my attention, and it wasn't good enough on either side. And I just think that the fucking endless, here's a new character. Oh, look, here's their name and their job. Oh, look, we've cast someone that you recognise, so you might like
them.
There's
a lot of people that work at NASA, though. There's a lot of people.
But can't you write a good enough script?
I think that was half the message, in that like there was thousands of people working to get one man back. That was the message.
Well, then cool, like Saving Private Ryan. But in Saving Private Ryan, you don't see Private Ryan until the end. It's about the mission. It's not about the man. So make that the film. Don't make it a film where you constantly cut to this guy who psychologically seems absolutely fine. Like he doesn't go mental at all. He's kind of joking. But
that's my biggest problem with it. Is he's so flippant that you can't you can't put any peril in the film. You can't expect anything to go wrong.
No one
he's
dies.
Just so like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm a botanist. I'm going to science the shit out of this and all that nonsense.
No one the irony of that final speech that he makes those kids, where he's like, "Oh, Mars is unforgiving. Like, oh, you're going to die." All this. No one in that film dies. Someone should have died. At least 5 people should have died. Jessica Chastain, who I hate, she definitely should have died. Like, I just hate her. But there was no peril at all. You just thought, you're all going to get home. You're all going to be fine. I thought Sean Bean was good. I liked the rocket guy, the one that's in the episode of the IT Crowd, who's doing really well for himself, that guy. I like Donald Glover.
He really is,
Yeah, he's doing really well, isn't he? I like Donald Glover.
Benedict Wong, that's his name.
Yes, and I thought Matt Damon...
Sean Bean.
Yeah, Sean Bean was brilliant. Yeah, he was brilliant, but there was a lot of characters I hated. There was so many, Jeff Daniels was just really, rude, wasn't he? He was just a bit of a dick.
It's a really weird character.
It's a really weird character.
I think the whole crew as well were just nothing, weren't they, really?
Awful. And that,
do you think Michael Bay did the NASA problem-solving bit better in Armageddon than...
No, I won't go that far. I just think...
I thought that in Armageddon was really good. Like the NASA, the Billy Bob Thornton side of things was actually doing quite well. I thought he was the best bit in it.
Yes, true. Yeah, I didn't want all those characters. Like I say, if it'd been a film about, I totally agree. It is millions of people to make these missions, and that's really impressive. It's a film about that, great. But I don't want that alongside another film that is about this one guy on his own. Yeah. I couldn't keep both things going. Both things just fell apart.
What would be a good film would be like an Oliver Stone-esque JFK sort of 13 Days film, which is just in Mission Control. That'd be quite fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or like just on the planet. The problem with the planet as well is and this is a weird problem to have, I think, probably, but there's a lot of like handheld camera shots.
Yeah.
Shot like a documentary, which...
Oh man, GoPros. Ridley Scott's got a thing about GoPros.
Don't you think it doesn't work? Like, fair enough to do it on Earth, but like those shots shouldn't be like that, because then you're like, well, hang on, this is sort of, you know, this guy's here and isolated.
Yeah.
You want, as I say, wide shots, or those shots of the computer screen. You don't want a guy running around plastic sheets with a handheld camera.
Yeah, I think actually on Mars, Mission to Mars looked better than The Martian. I think the sets looked better on Mission to Mars. To me, it just looked like they put a red filter over the camera. I just thought Mission to Mars looked more... I believed that Mars more than I believed this Mars. And maybe it's to do with how they shot it.
No, I disagree. I think the Mars was a lot nicer in The Martian. I think it was a lot more real.
Yeah, I agree with
that. The colours. I think there was a lot more research put in, but I think that's the way films are now, and they were different back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
I went to go and see this with my botanist friend.
Yeah.
He's a noted botanist.
Cool.
And he thought, oh, this is going to be amazing because, you know, of the subject.
So much botany.
Yeah.
But literally, from the whole premise of what he's eating the potatoes, right?
Yeah.
So he cuts the potatoes up and he goes, them potatoes have been sterilised, otherwise they would be growing in whatever they were sent in, even if it was a plastic bag.
Oh dear. So it was already wrong, even from that point.
Yeah.
I was curious about the science, so I read quite a good article on Gizmodo about the science behind it, and the one thing that came out of it that would have made the film better was that they made the point that at the end of the film, everyone should be dying of cancer. And I think that would be a much better ending if when he gets back up there, NASA's like, well, it worked, but you've been exposed to too much radiation and you'll all be dead before you get back.
That'd have been great. Yeah, that's why we don't bother saving him.
Yeah.
It's not
what was that, Chris? Sorry.
What, in it because of the shielding on the base or something?
I've got the thing here because
there's no shield, there's no magnetic field on Mars, so that's
in the epilogue. Every astronaut should be dying of cancer because Mars lacks a global geomagnetic field to do more than weakly shelter Watney from cosmic rays, while the crew on the Hermes are even more exposed. Their long stint within the orbit of Venus would up their radiation exposure to between 0.66 and 1 sieverts, which would kill them all. So,
yeah. I think a sievert is like a lethal dose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you've got to accept that they might have solved that. For this universe to exist, that has been solved.
Oh, yeah, it's set in... I know I wrote this down. It is set in the future. It's set in 2035.
Isn't it funny how things jump ahead? Like Mission to Mars was 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another weird thing though, all the weird alien references. Did you pick up on those? Like the way the title card fades away like the alien letters.
Yeah.
And the little ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum keeps coming back through the film.
Yeah.
What's that about? Why is he doing that?
Maybe they're linked. Maybe it's the same universe. That would be really dickish, wouldn't it?
It seemed really strange.
I think in terms of handling an ensemble cast, Mars Attacks does it better than The Martian did. I think is kind of introducing characters, developing them, giving them some kind of life that isn't just a flat cardboard nothingness. This is that. Mars Attacks.
That's just a pantomime. They could have done anything.
But you care about the characters,
on that.
though.
They weren't doing a serious film.
But I cared about the characters in Mars Attacks. I barely cared about anyone in this. And there's a lot of characters to not care about.
Well, no, in Mars Attacks, I didn't care about the characters, but that's on purpose. He's setting them up to die, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Mars Attacks. We'll get on to that in a minute. But at least you have got a feeling about them, where in this, I agree with you totally. It's just wallpaper. I couldn't care less about anybody involved.
Yeah.
See, with me in this sort of film, as I said, I can literally, I can watch a manual on how, it could be this shit I watch on YouTube. You should look at my history. Literally, it's like a thing about some piece of the International Space Station. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You should start a other podcast just called the Science Rating System, where you just rate science videos on YouTube.
This particular component and what it does.
But I think you're right. Okay. If they'd done, Pi, that film Pi. If it had been like Pi, really low budget arty and just hardcore. He's on Mars. You don't really see anything in the background, and it's just hardcore him, voiceover in his head, hardcore, just sciencing how to survive. Yeah, I think actually that could have been some kind of cult kind of masterpiece, minimalist masterpiece. But yeah, just too overblown.
I fucking hate diary room style.
Yeah, me too.
Stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's such a lame sort of way to get exposition across, isn't it? Anyway, let's rate it. I'm going to say number 34, One Above Prometheus. Chris?
Ridley's taking a battering, isn't he?
Well, I mean, until we get to Alien, yeah. And Blade Runner. I mean, he made two of the greatest science fiction films of all time, but a long time ago, didn't he? So,
I don't think this is as good as Prometheus.
Do you not?
No. I'd put it one under Prometheus.
See, that's weird, because I expected you to be really, on board with this one, but I underestimated just how sciencey you wanted it. That's what's happened.
And also, all the
down,
epic stuff, the really visually epic things, it's like, it was always like 90% of the way to being truly memorably epic.
Yeah.
Like, in the framing and...
You're right, there's no, there's no big interstellar sort of shot, is there? The closest it gets is probably when the captain and Watney sort of go towards each other in space, isn't it? That's the closest you get to sort of an iconic sort of shot. But even that's not. They fluff that, don't they? So.
And you tell you what, Apollo 13 is much better and it's basically a similar sort of thing.
I've never seen Apollo 13.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's definitely Ron Howard's best film.
Yeah, it's good.
Better than Willow.
Ooh, no, hold on.
Yeah, it's better than all his recent stuff. is shit compared to it. Yeah, much better than all his.
Better than Cocoon.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like Cocoon.
I can't think of one good Ron Howard film.
Oof.
I don't like him at all.
I need to see a list. He's quite forgettable. He does a lot. Yeah.
Is he making the new Star Wars film now?
He's
been
doing
drafting
Han Solo
yesterday.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah, I read a very interesting article about that, about the problems with it. Apparently, they're doing loads and loads of takes, aren't they, of each shot?
I'd love to see what they've got.
Yeah,
and I'd love to see what they had on Rogue One, like what it was.
Oh yeah,
before.
Yeah. One day. Yeah. Alex, where were you going to rank it?
I'm absolutely fine with Below Prometheus because it just made me angry again. It did drive me mad, but ultimately, I hate Prometheus. But there are things. You're right. There are things in Prometheus I can remember, and there are scenes I liked. In this, it's actually quite forgettable. And the my favourite bit, or the best bit, is the bit when he's I'm going to fly around like Iron Man. That's kind of funny, but it's funny in a kind of childish, stupid way, and that's about
way. Yeah.
That's kind of all I've got really. So yeah.
Well, there we go.
Even with all these films now, I was watching Gravity last night, and because he's got that thing where he punctures his suit and he uses it as like a jet.
Yeah.
Right. Now I was watching that, and also when I could have watched Mission to Mars, where she can go quite far enough to get him. Oh, yeah. I'm like, fuck the jetpack, put a hole in your suit, because all these things cross over so much. They're not using all the tricks.
No, they've forgotten.
Well, it's got in the list at 35, so Ridley Scott propping up the table, really, at 35 at the minute. It's not looking good for Ridley.
We're going to start alienating some of our listeners, if we keep on.
I think they know.
Fuck 'em. So Martian fans, fuck them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Major, I'm sure he likes the Martian.
Sam's views are not...
Yeah, I do represent all of us in these views. Let's have another break and return with our third and final film of the day. And we're back with our third and final trip to Mars. Actually, no, this time Mars is coming to us because Mars attacks.
It does.
That was rather good, wasn't it? Directed by Tim Burton, written by Jonathan Gems, based on the infamous line of Topps cards called Mars Attacks, from 1996, starring pretty much everyone who ever walks in front of a camera.
Hell yeah.
Before we get onto this, I've got an interesting fact that you might know. Do you know what bearing Mars Attacks had on Independence Day?
Oh, no.
Bearing?
Yeah, what influence it had on Independence Day?
Is it the exploding landmarks?
No.
Oh.
The reason Independence Day is called Independence Day is because of Mars Attacks.
Yeah, cool.
Both scripts are in development at the same time, and Dean Devlin realised that because they were so similar in concept, if Independence Day was to be a hit, it had to come out before Mars Attacks. So they named it Independence Day, so it had to come out on July the 4th.
Oh.
Because Mars Attacks was originally meant to be a Christmas film, so they knew they'd beat it out. So that's the little link there between
There is no Mars Day. If only.
No.
Yeah.
But there was going to be, but it was in August, so they thought it was fine, yeah.
Well, we'll miss that. Wow, there you go. That is interesting.
There's a shot of Big Ben exploding in it, which is used in lots of
films.
The film.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a shot of a casino exploding, which is a real casino that he filmed.
Yes.
Anyway, let's stop the trivia for now and get some opinions first. Who's not started yet? Alex, you've not started, have you? Mars Attacks. Well, did you like it then? Do you like it now?
I loved it then, and as we said in the previous show, I was very worried about watching it again because I thought, oh god, it might just be awful. But I absolutely loved it this time round. I thought it was just as good.
Me too. Yeah.
I think it just works really well. I think it's a good science fiction comedy, which we said before there aren't that many of. But I really, I think it just speeds along. You've got a ton of characters. He handles them all really well. They're all kind of stereotypes and caricatures, but in a good way, you know. And I think some of the little plot lines in it are really interesting. And I think the effects are great. I think the actual Martian effects and how they look and all, just like all the kind of like the death and destruction, I just think it's really solidly done. One thing I noticed is a lot more kind of, there was some really cynical lines in it that I probably never noticed when I saw it way back when. Like when the general gets sent to meet the Martians at the landing, he's on the phone to his wife and he says something like, oh, I told you, if you just keep your head down, you'll succeed. Yeah. And obviously the classic, and he gets killed. And then the classic Danny DeVito thing when he's like, oh, you're going to need lawyers if you're going to take over the world. Yeah. I think I'm not saying it's a serious film. I just think there were some elements of there were some interesting serious elements in there. I like kind of Natalie Portman, like living in the White House, but like the idea that they don't really live there, that there's always tours going on, and like, when she says, oh, why are you changing the candelabra, because it's not even our house. There's quite a few little things that I never really noticed that really I kind of got
that sort of
way
stuff
more.
Felt weirdly current to me in the sense Trump's America.
Yeah, oh god,
it seemed like a Trump White House in a way, didn't it? That did.
Yeah.
Chris, did you still enjoy it?
I did. I just thought it took a while to get going because they don't do that landing bit where the general greets them until I've just checked. It's about 35 minutes in.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're establishing a lot of characters, but I do agree with that. I think the one thing, I really enjoyed it, but the one thing I got a problem with was the pacing.
There's a lot of fucking around in a casino and...
Yeah. You don't need all that, do you?
No.
But no, I loved it as well. I thought, like you, Alex, a lot of it, not necessarily going over my head as a child, but it had more of a deeper meaning now to it. I think the way, obviously, that everyone famous dies and you're just left with the freaks and the weirdos is like such a Tim Burton concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like and I never really noticed that before, but that plays up so well, like the way that, everyone involved knows what they're doing. They're all along for the ride, aren't they? They're all willing to play it themselves.
Why is Tom Jones in it? Like...
It was just a joke, though. I mean, he wasn't...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with what he does, and obviously I like that song.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
What?
It's a joke. It's just a joke cameo, isn't it? It's like a kind of... I guess they just needed someone who was performing in Vegas at that point, and he was the kind of cheapest.
I read that apparently... because the budget was slashed from 260 million to 60 million. And the only reason anyone got on board was because Jack Nicholson wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And when he signed up, everyone else basically followed him.
Yeah.
And that's how they got the names in. But do you really think about how they tried to stop them killing Jack Nicholson? And that's why he plays two characters, because he don't want to kill me twice. That's quite funny.
Yeah. It says 22 people listed in the opening credits, only 7 survived the film. That's pretty. That's pretty. When you've got that many famous, I mean, really famous people as well. Really, like it's pretty big names. A lot of people.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially for the time when it was made.
Yeah,
like Martin Short, not really a big name now.
Michael J. Fox's last before his hiatus.
It probably is his last big film until he went away for a bit. Yeah, I mean, he didn't do anything major again, did he? After this, I don't think.
No,
because Spin City would have been on after this, but that was TV, wasn't it? So I don't know what.
Yeah. I didn't know Jack Black was in it because obviously at the time he wasn't really that big.
Yeah.
But he was really good. Yeah.
And everyone plays. He's really good. I love the angry general. I don't know what that guy's name is, but
Rod Steiger.
Kill.
Yes, Rod Steiger. Yeah,
good.
I think the kind of the like Pierce Brosnan's brilliant, and just the whole kind of that really 1950s like kind of like cynicism of scientists, like the fact that he's just like, oh well, they're intelligent, so they're not going to be barbaric. They're obviously going to be peace loving because they're highly intelligent, and they're just like he's just completely wrong. I love the translation machine when they're running around with it, and it's like we want to be your friend. They're just like shooting them in the back and stuff. Yeah. That's great.
We were saying last week how we wonder whether this would be a good Tim Burton film or the start of the end.
Yeah.
And it is really like peak Burton, isn't it? Like he's on fire and on form with the satire. Yeah. And it just makes me wonder how on earth, he's made so many awful films since. Like what switch
happened?
Clicked in his head,
Yeah. I wrote that down. I put Tim Burton used to be so good. What happened? I wrote that down. Because is Edward after this? Or before this?
I think it's just everyone else changed to their, his style is his style. He's never going to change his style.
No, but the content of the film is a lot worse.
It was in for a little while, and then we wasn't in. Do you know what I mean? So
no, because I mean that film is still good now, isn't it? Whereas all these other films after that, Edward was before that, but everything after that.
What about
Sleepy Hollow's up? That's all right, isn't it? That's his next film. Then you got Planet of the Apes, awful. Big Fish, awful. China Chocolate Factory's awful.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland's awful.
Yeah. The dark. What's it called? Dark something. The vampire one with Johnny Depp in. I didn't see that. Dark Shadows.
That didn't even really.
Yeah.
That never even got a proper release, did it?
He just started making kind of remakes and adaptations. That's all he just went into a cycle of just making. I don't know why.
It's just strange. Yeah, no, me.
It's like he ran out of ideas because this was. I mean, he was kind of he pitched this idea. This was his idea, and like. So this was kind of from him. Maybe he just ran out. Yeah, maybe he just ran out of ideas.
I mean, the script was actually kicking around in 1986.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Amis wrote the first draft. And I mean, there's nothing actually in this one now, but like it had been around Hollywood for a long time.
It's Alex Cox,
weird.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which would have been mental.
There's a lot of Dr. Strangelove style humour in it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, definitely, yeah. There's especially the War Room is like really very strange, isn't it?
Did you see the cards? Because I sent you that link to look at the cards.
Yes,
Did you see it? They're pretty good.
I had no idea they were so... like over the top, like
horrible.
Good, yeah.
What, the cards? I haven't got the cards.
Oh, it's on our Facebook
messenger thing.
Our special Facebook group. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Have a look.
Yeah,
but you know what else they made cards of, don't you?
What?
Do you know what the series after this was in? I think it's in the 80s by Topps.
No,
it's called Dino Attacks.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, you need to look those up because they're basically. It's like a load of hair metal and a load of just like it wrestlers being ripped apart by dinosaurs and it's exactly the same but 80s dinosaurs basically. So they need to make a film of that. It'll be amazing.
Sounds great.
So I can do that one.
Yeah,
that's great.
Do it.
Yeah,
get those rights right now. Yeah, because it's all there already.
I like the like War of the World style. This is a more modern take on it, like
it's stupid cool. Song killing everyone at the end. Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? But it does play it straight, doesn't it? In a way, and that's why it works, isn't it? I think. Yeah. Because really, like Jack Nicholson's president isn't really a funny character, is it? No. He sort of is just a president who, and he's not really doing anything wrong, is he? Really?
No.
I mean, being a bit too concerned about the TV. Yeah. And that's sort of at odds with everything revolving around him, isn't it? And he dies, and you don't really care. It's weird. It's
the Jim Brown, Pam Grier characters are kind of serious as well. They're like I think of all the characters, they're the ones you kind of. I was like, oh, you kind of care that he survives, and that great shot when they just like he's like boxing all of them like that when they just all descend on him. I think that is quite like he's the only one they try and develop a bit and be like, oh, there is some kind of like weight here that he is losing his family and he's trying to get back to them. That's like, but it doesn't matter. It's still, you kind of root for the Martians, I think, in a weird way.
I think you can just revel in how evil they are because they're so it's ridiculous over the top and just like laughing about it. It's
I like how they've got attitude, like a little bit of like.
Yes,
they've got the same sense of humour.
Yeah,
the spaceship's great with those things in the tanks, like that clown just like floating in a bubble.
There's a great long article on vfxblog.com, which I think Chris you'd like. Have you read it? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Basically, all about how they made the effects, and that's like really interesting. They've got a lot of YouTube clips of like behind the scenes stuff and things, and it's only. Do you know why it's not a stop motion film?
No,
because of the glass helmets. They couldn't do that with stop motion without obviously reflections and stuff, and that's why they made it CGI. Also, I think budgetary reasons, but
because he wanted it to look kind of cheap and crap, didn't he?
Yeah, so that's why they still do walk very like stop motion, and that's all explained there. It's a really long article, it's really interesting. But they've got the first test shot of the Martian on that, and they've got the ack sort of noise. So that's obviously come from the effects team, which is a bit weird, isn't it? Come from.
It's funny what you said. You were completely right in the trailer when they translate what they say, but that's never in the film. That's such an odd thing to do in the trailer, but never in the film. That's quite a big I don't know. It's quite an odd. Wonder who decided that, or whether it was even whether Tim Burton even knew they'd done it.
I think it was interfered with quite a lot by the studio and the sound of it. And I think the script was cut a lot. I read that 35 other characters are cut out.
Yeah,
which sounds absurd because there's already loads of them.
How long were they shooting for?
Yeah, I don't know.
And it was way more violent, wasn't
Jack Nicholson, a lot more violent. Jack Nicholson wanted to play every character. Did you read that?
No, amazing.
His pitch to Tim Burton when he said he couldn't get made was, "I'll play everybody," which that film would have been incredible, wouldn't it?
Well, even his face on the aliens, that'd have been great. Just him as every alien, stop motion.
Yes.
Yeah, wow. Pitch that movie. There you go. The dinosaur one can just be Jack Nicholson as every dinosaur and every character. Before he dies, quick CGI
him. Yeah, very good. I think that's all there's to say, isn't it? I think we're all quite on board.
Yeah.
I won't wait 20 years to watch it again next time.
No.
So where are we going to rank it? I'll go first this time. I think I'm going to say... number... someone else go first. I can't decide.
I was going to say 17. Below Pacific Rim, above District 9.
Higher than that.
Oh, okay.
I'd put it below Independence Day.
What?
I'd put it 21. Yeah, because
I think I'd put it 11.
Whoa.
No.
It's better than WALL-E. I'd rather watch it again than Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Santa was crap.
But I don't know why that's up there anyway.
No, actually, you know what, Sam? You're right, because it's actually one of... as we said, there's very few... science fiction comedies like this Galaxy Quest. I was having real trouble trying to think of more, but for that reason alone, for that reason alone, it should actually be higher because just for the fact that it manages to be funny and a science fiction.
That's
film.
Not a valid reason. I think that's not a valid reason.
It's a totally valid reason.
No, it's not.
I'm changing it. Yeah, higher. Yeah.
What did you say, Chris? 21 below Independence Day.
Yeah. No.
Jesus. So you'd rather watch District 9 than this? And Pacific Rim?
And Her.
Hang on. Where's one? Oh, yeah, Her. There we go. That's one that Chris didn't like. What about Her?
Where's Wally is always the question I ask.
Oh, yes. All right, so if we're both saying 11.
I'd take one under Wally.
You take 12?
Yeah.
All right, let's
go on
then. That then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy with that. Still push it up 10 places. So. Tim Burton
compromise is where both parties are dissatisfied.
That's true. Well, there we go. 3 more films in the list. Mars Attacks at number 12, Mission to Mars at number 32, and The Martian basically a poor man's mission to Mars, is what we're saying.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Too late to the
Which is a
party,
shame,
really.
Because on paper, it definitely isn't.
No, but Mars was already there. We already seen that Mars film. You just remade it, Ridley.
I think Mission to Mars cost a lot, though. I think it cost
Must have, surely.
100 million that cost to make.
Yeah. Not to be sniffed at.
Well, there we go. We better come back from Mars and go back in time, because next week we're going to visit a different science fiction theme. One close to Chris's heart.
Yeah.
There's already one film on the list featuring these creatures. They are dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Rah.
And we look at 3 dinosaur films.
I've got a dinosaur quiz as well.
That's for next week. Yeah. So tune in next week for the trailers.
Exciting.
Find out what the films are. And for a quiz. I'm excited.
Yeah. Send us your emails in the meantime, like Colonel Rodriguez.
Yeah, get in touch like Rodriguez. Sorry.
Rodriguez, sorry.
Yeah. Get in touch at sciencefictionratingsystem@gmail.com. You can Twitter us at SF Rating System. Go to our Instagram. That's Science Fiction Rating System. Go to our website, sciencefictionratingsystem.com, where all the podcasts are
Comments,
there.
lovely.
The list is there.
Share.
It's lovely,
like, comment,
website.
subscribe. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really nice. That's lovely. Good image. I love the images on it.
yeah.
That Mars Attacks image is lovely.
My little black and white crops.
Yeah, really good. Good work.
Yeah. Thanks. Cheers. So yeah, get in touch. Get on the podcast. You know, we're not getting many emails, so the chances are, if you're writing, you'll get on the air. How exciting is that?
You might want to promote something, and we'll do it. We're that cheap.
Yeah. But otherwise, keep listening and look out for the dinosaur trailer preview show next week. In the meantime, I'm Sam. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
See ya.